want to talk to you about lions. I want to talk to you about lines and process. And the reason why is because it applies to you, it applies to me. It takes an average of 2 years for a lion to learn to roar. An average of 2 years. Now, when you look at the Nature Channel and all these other things, these YouTube clips, you see that powerful animal running around the plains hunting, but you didn't see the process when it was a little cub in the pride hanging out with all the other lions trying to learn how to roar. Now, an interesting fact is that the more lions that a lion is around, lions that are fully grown, the faster it's going to learn how to roar. Now, listen to what I said again, fully grown lions. And a lion's full roar at maximum strength has been recorded up to 5 miles in distance from the point from where that lion roared. When you see a baby lion roaring, you can't, it sounds like a little cat. Why are we having this conversation? I'll tell you why. Because some of you listening to this, you for sure are a lion. It's in you. You know for a fact that there's something magnificent you're supposed to be doing. However, you haven't come into your roar yet. And the worst thing you can do when you haven't come into your roar is to compare yourself to a fully grown that is already roaring. See, how you get disempowered is when you compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. And you look at that person and you see where they are, but you don't see the process of where they began. And so you lose your momentum because you think you'll never catch up. But if you just stayed consistent, you get there. If you stayed consistent, you could get beyond where they are, whoever they are. The problem with they is you don't know their story. And the problem is when they make it, they usually don't tell it. So every great has an origin story. And if you're not where you want to be, it means you're beginning yours. Doesn't mean you won't get there. It means this is your beginning. So if the people you're around right now, if the people that you spend your greatest amount of time with, if they're not at full roar, if they're in the process of gaining their roar and you spend all your time with them, you're in your process of gaining your roar, they're in their process of gaining their roar, and no one is fully there yet. So who's teaching who? No one's teaching anyone. And the longer you spend your time with people who are just where you are and are not moving along, if not already there, the longer it takes you. Sometimes people have an ego trip. They don't want to learn from people that are already there. They think, oh, well, they won't do this or they won't do that or they got that. And if they would just humble themselves down and say, you're already winning in the area that I want to win in health, in relationship, in finance. Teach me. What can you give me? Now you're the young cub around the fully grown lions. But some people, their ego is so out of whack, they would like to stay meowing like a cat rather than accelerate the time in which they get their full roar out, because they're around people already playing the game at the highest level. And people who are playing the game at the highest level are going to make you better because they're already playing the game at the highest level. So my question for you is, who are you around? Are they fully grown? Are they already roaring? Or are they in process? And are you only around them because you've known them for a long time and because there's history? And you let your history cloud what should be, which is this: you can only coach me, you can only teach me if you're winning in the area that I want the coaching and the teaching. Who are you spending your time with? Just because you've been around Uncle Lou just because you've been around cousin Sarah. It could be mom, it could be dad. That's fantastic. They could be great parents. They could be great people. But if you want to go into this thing and they've never done that thing and you're letting them coach you on what you should be doing in this thing, think about it. Who are you around? Let me tell you, if it's in you, it's in you. And if it's not in you, it's not in you. But if it's in you, don't you dare settle down with what is the scraps when you know you want the whole meal. Whatever you want, you can have. But first, you got to give yourself time to perfect your roar. It is your roar. Number two, you got to be around people that are already roaring. Who in your life is already roaring? And don't you settle. Life is too precious.